Hi, I'm Brian. Welcome to this edition of That Wilderness Survival Show. Over the series, I would like to share with you some survival skills that hopefully make your outdoor experience more enjoyable. Okay, we're back again. On this show, part of our three-part series, I'm going to show you how to coal burn a utensil. Today, I'm going to show you how to coal burn a spoon. You can do this with pretty much anything that you want to make around camp. You can make a bowl, you can make a cup, you can make all kinds of stuff. With everything else that I've been showing you, it takes practice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to carve this down very crudely with my hatchet and get it to a position where I set on the wood a small bit of coal from our fire and hold it on there, and then we burn a really small hollow pocket in the wood itself. So I'm going to get to forming this up. Okay, so our material doesn't have to be super dry like what we're going to use for our fire or our fire lighting materials. This can be a little bit moist. Harder woods seem to take longer to do, last longer, and are better. I've made them out of cedar before, and you know, they tend to crack really easily. So now that we've got all the branches off, what we want to do is we want to find the perfect spot to do it. Now if you take the end and you carve the end down, you've got no place to hold on to your spoon when you want to carve the handle, because you don't want a great big lunky piece of wood like this as your spoon. When you're done, you want the spoon to have a nice slender handle, a small bowl, and then you can cut the end off of the spoon after you're ready to finish it. So what we're going to do is we're going to make the spoon, I like this part of the wood right here. So we'll flatten it out and get it to a rudimentary shape, and then we will coal burn a nice little pocket in it. So what we need to do is, this is the spot where you can actually take some material off. So you want to be careful. You are dealing with a sharp tool as well. And remember, you're not going to burn your spoon right in the end. And you don't want your handle to be too short either. It just, you know, because you're going to be stirring with it, you're going to be working around your fire with it, because that's where your pot's going to be, depending on how you're doing your cooking around your fire as well. So you just want to get your handle down to a manageable size without taking too much material off, because tapping it with a hatchet can break your material. So that's pretty big. With that being said, we're going to pick right about here. Right about there looks like a good spot. So make a nice flat spot in the wood. See, it's nice and flat there, and we can form our bowl. Right here. Now remember what I said about leaving the end on. And again, sharp tools are very important. I know sometimes you don't want your hatchet to be too sharp until you get into a situation where you need a sharp hatchet. So now we've got it very roughly and crudely drawn down to a shape that we can work with. I've decided to put the spoon right there, and this gives me a bit of a handle right at the top to carve the handle in the spoon. After I got all that figured out, then I can just carve this piece using the handle of the spoon. I can just carve this piece right off. So I've got my little fire going right here. It's nice to have a nice little stick, because what you're going to do is you're going to hold your coal on your piece of wood, and it's just a nice, easy, just like blowing a fire to flame.
Natural hazards are hitting Canadians harder and more often than ever before. Yet it takes surprisingly little to survive their wrath. A candle and water could help save your life in the short term. And paper will see you through the long term. Learn how to protect your life and home. Visit these websites. A message from the Institute for Catastrophic Loss Reduction and the Canadian Red Cross.
It afflicts more men than any other type of cancer. 1 in 6 Canadian men will be diagnosed in their lifetime, and more than 4,000 of them will die.
It could be your friend,
your partner,
father,
your son,
brother,
or it could be someone like me, a prostate cancer survivor.
A cure can be found, but we need your support. Let's unite in the fight against prostate cancer.
When you're in the race of a lifetime, split-second decisions often determine the final outcome. Being a mother is kind of the same. Timing is everything. So how much do you know about meningitis, a bacterial infection that can turn potentially fatal in a matter of hours? It's important that you do 2 simple things right now. Visit the MRFC website to learn the facts about how you can protect your child. Then talk to your doctor about which options are right for your family. That way we can all win in the race against time.
What the? Can I help you?
I'm depression. I've come for you.
Pardon me?
Depression, you know? I get people angry, keep them up at night, give them anxiety, muddle with their heads.
That's
crazy. Yeah. Actually, the government likes to refer to me as a mental illness.
Well, shouldn't you be wearing a cape or a...
So people can see me coming? This is perfect. I got 20% of all Canadians already. I can get anybody.
What I like to do is I like to put a small nick in the board itself, where you're gonna make your spoon, and this just stops your piece of coal from rolling around on a flat surface, and it kind of gives you a centering, so that you're not starting your coal burn off to one edge. If you get too close to the edge, your wood tends to crack. Another thing you gotta look out for is you don't want this to catch fire. It pulls the moisture out of the wood too fast and it'll crack. I like to stay away from cedar particularly. Some people are a little sensitive to cedar, and it does have very small amounts of toxins in it. So if you don't know you're allergic to it and you're using it, it's probably not good to put your food in. And also, the moisture comes out of it really fast when you're working with it, and it tends to catch fire and crack. Although it's easy to carve, it also breaks really easily. So I like to stick to a little bit harder woods. This is actually a piece of alder. Maybe it's wild cherry. So I like to stick to harder woods, and woods like fir, sometimes they get a little pitchy and they might put a little bit of flavor in your food, and water evaporates out of it fairly quickly and they do crack as well. So anyway, that's just the type of wood that I prefer. You might find something different. So now what we do is we go down to our fire and we just kind of take it apart. We just let this little fire burn down to some nice coals, and we just reach in. On another show, I'll show you how to make tongs. And we take a little piece of coal and we set it on there. Then we take our little stick that holds it on, because if you were just to blow on that, it would just blow right off. So you're going to have to hold it on there. I'm not sure if you can see that on camera, how it lights up. but it's transferring the heat from the piece of coal into the wood. A lot of people will say, how come you don't just carve the bowl out? I don't know if you've ever tried that. It's really hard to try to carve a hollow piece out of a piece of wood. This is something that you can do sitting around the fire in the evening. You're a little bit, all your chores are done, everything's done around the camp. And you know, when you go camping with your family or go camping with your friends or whatever, you're going to want to practice this. Now, after you've burnt one little piece of coal out, you just take your knife and you just scrape a little tiny bit of the coal out. So you can see we're already starting to form a pocket. So you scrape it out, you get down to bare wood, and you do it again. Be very careful. Your knife is most likely going to be sharp because it's good to have a sharp tool in the bush. So just be nice and careful when you're doing that. You don't want to be trying to gouge any wood out of your spoon with your knife. It's too hard to carve it out when the coal can burn it out just nice and easy. So we look for another nice little coal. Set it on the wood. And we blow it and we make it. So we've got another one, another little pocket built. If you start to get a little bit bored of this, what you can do is just carve on your spoon a little bit. It's a process. You don't have to do all the coal burning at once, and you don't have to do all the carving at once. So you can just take your piece of wood and you can go, okay, well, I know where my spoon is, I know where my bowl's going to be. What kind of shape does my handle want to be? So I've done this a few times, so I'm not gonna carve with my knife quite yet. So I'm just gonna work my hatchet nice and easy. You can see you can take a little bit of material off. Safety first, right? You want to have a nice hard surface to work on, not a stone. You don't want to chip your hatchet. Good quality hatchet's an asset in the bush. You can take it with you. It's not too heavy. And you can do lots of stuff with it. Most of what I've learned that I'm showing you today, I've learned from reading in books, studying it. It's kind of a hobby of mine. And I have taken wilderness survival courses through Earth Walk Northwest down in Washington State. And they, through these programs, they teach you all this kind of stuff. So remember, you want to keep the integrity of the size of your bowl, because a normal spoon is about that big around, right? So you want your impression to be right there. So you're going to have to carve off the back side of the spoon so that you actually get a round bowl, because your spoons don't taper out like this. They've got a true definition to them. So I'm just going to do a little bit of more coal burning and a little bit more carving. Another thing you don't have to do is burn down too deep. So you can always take the back side of your spoon off, or the back side of the piece of wood back here. So you're going to burn down a little bit. You don't have to go very deep. If you look at a kitchen spoon when you're eating with it, you notice they're not real deep. So we're just going to carry on. With a small piece of coal. You can see how the heat gets transferred from the little piece of coal into the wood. After a while, when you're doing it, your coal might even go away. But you can still keep a little bit of coal burning in the pocket. You can use your stick. Stick actually works pretty good. So you can see here how we're getting a nice little pocket formed in the piece of wood. So what I want to do now is I kind of want to open this up and make this bigger, remembering that we don't want to get too close to the edge. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to try to make this hole a little bit bigger. So it does take some time, but like I say, it's a kind of a fun thing to do when you're sitting around the campfire in the evening. But it does work fairly fast if you stay with it. And it's fun for people of all ages. I teach kids how to do this in Cubs and Scouts. They love doing this kind of stuff. Keeps them busy for a while. like I say, if you start to get a little bit bored of doing this, you can just go back to carving. See how we're getting a nice little formed bowl out of there? You'll make it just a little bit bigger, maybe a tad bit deeper, and then you can work on carving your piece of wood into a spoon. It's pretty much all there is to making a camp utensil. It just takes time, patience, and some good materials. You want to stay away from punky material. What I like to carry is a stainless steel water bottle. Not everybody likes stainless steel. I do. The reason I like a stainless steel non-coated water bottle is if I get into an area where I think I need to boil the water, I can light a fire. As you can see, this is all blackened and charred, and I boil my water right in my water bottle. Always remember to take the top off or you won't be able to find it when it blows off. I'd like to talk a little bit about our flashlights. I like to carry a flashlight in my pack, and if you're going out for an afternoon hike, it's always good to carry a headlamp. There's a multitude of different kinds of headlamps you can carry. Spare batteries are essential. The flashlight I like to carry is my Pelican. As a firefighter, I know that I can put this on my pack and it'll point straight forward for me. And that's what keeps my hands free. It's just my personal preference. Please use your personal preference when going into the bush. Flashlights are very important.
How far do you have to go to get away from it all? When you live by healthy streams and rivers, not very far at all. But our urban waters need your help to remain clean and natural, like they used to be. When landowners respect the natural integrity of urban waterways, we help provide a better home for wildlife, fish, and people. Protecting your urban waters is an investment in your quality of life. To learn more about protecting urban waterways, contact Trout Unlimited Canada at 1-800-909-6040.
Canada's towns and cities have a rich cultural and natural heritage. For those of us who live and work within these urban landscapes, we need the beauty and the environmental benefits of trees. Conserving these natural landscapes is everyone's responsibility. Help Tree Canada grow clean air. Trees do their part. Let's do ours.
Hi, I'm Valerie Pringle, and I'm chair of the board of the Trans-Canada Trail, and we are all proud supporters.
We've already built 10,000 kilometers, but there's 8,000 still to go before this vision becomes reality.
But we need your help to complete this great national dream. Every $50 you donate builds another meter of trail.
In recognition, we'll put your name in a trail pavilion. Call now. Help complete the Trans-Canada Trail.
Sunshine, warming, energizing, life-giving. Like the effect of the sun on all living things, the Sunshine Foundation of Canada brings warmth and hope to children with severe physical disabilities and life-threatening illnesses. For 20 years, Sunshine has been making dreams come true, creating smiles and happy memories to last a lifetime. Sunshine Foundation, dreams for kids. Help brighten a child's life. Visit sunshine.ca today.
So as you can tell, we stopped camera for a little bit so that I could get this carved down. This takes time. This takes you anywhere from 20 minutes, half an hour, could take you up to an hour. I've seen really nice shapes carved in handles, snakes wound around. I've seen little mouse on the end of the handle. You can get exotic as you want, or you can just get right down to the bare bones. Be careful when you're doing this in the summertime as well, because little tiny bits of spark will drop off. They get in between your sandals and your foot, they're going to cause a burn, and it hurts. So just think safety all the time when you're out there doing this kind of stuff. And if you happen to be in a very dry area, we're at a beach right now, but if you are in a dry area, watch where your little sparks are landing. You could cause an alternate fire from your fire that you built over here. So once you've got your pocket formed, you're just going to make it nice and round. Some people like to scrape all the soot out. Sometimes sand works for that. It doesn't bother me one bit, so it doesn't matter to me. I can have a little bit of soot in my food. Then what we do is we just finish off carving the end. You can see the handle that I had for carving the handle has been broken off. So now what we're going to do is just form the end. Now it's fairly important with the material that you pick that you don't get a lot of knots in it, because I find that although knots make a fairly strong point in the wood, they also make a weak point. So when you're carving the wood and you happen to hit a knot, trying to get through it could snap the handle off. So try to find a piece of wood that doesn't have a lot of knots in it. And then the part that you used for a handle on the front end of the spoon, you're just going to carve it off. To where you want it. And be careful when you start getting down to this nitty-gritty spot here, because this is where things start to shift and break, and you get too close to the edge or whatever. If you start doing that, then it starts to break, and you'll just take the whole side right off your spoon and you have to start again. So you don't want, you can see here how thick it is, so you don't want it to be too thick, but you don't want it to be too thin either. So it's just, like I say with everything else, practice, practice, practice. And it's kind of fun just to sit around the campfire and do a little carving. And if you're nice and careful, you can make it look as nice as you want. But whatever you end up with, it's going to end up working for you. And I like a little bit longer of a handle. I cut this handle just a little bit short because you are working around a fire. So if your fire's a little bit too big, a longer handle, you can still stir your pot or whatever you're going to do. When I'm on my wilderness survival courses, that's all we're allowed to use. We're not allowed to bring anything into the bush that we don't make there, except for our knives, one pot, and a blanket. So this is how you can have a little bit of fun in your backyard, teach yourself how to make a coal burnt spoon someday when you're out camping, build one and use it. Thank you very much and have yourself a great day.